Hi, I'm Judge Desire for Knowledge, and we are tuned in on YouTube right now for legal matters. I'm usually on Saturdays at 3 o'clock. I'm doing Know Your Truth Real Talk every Saturday at 3, either live or taped. Mostly my legal matters shows are taped. They're pretty long, not as long as some videos and social media I've seen here, but either way, it's a lot of information to be going on live with. So I decided I would like to tape my legal matters and just post them on Saturday at 3 or whatever day convenient every month, every once a month of every fourth week of the month, I put up legal matters. It's called On Legal Matters, and we speak about things. I speak about things that are actually happening, and like discrimination, traffic laws. I'll be doing criminal soon. This one happens to be disabilities. It's about discrimination on the rights of the disabled. So I wanted to join you with that on giving you some tips on knowing that you have rights when it comes to a lot of things. If you look them up and Google it, because we have a lot of technology here, or you do your research, you'll be able to find the entities that you can get help if you are actually considered disabled. And so I wanted to share that today on Legal Matters. So discrimination laws, rights for the disabled. So that's what this show is about. Thank you for joining me, Judge Desire for Knowledge. Please subscribe, like, and share so other people that needs the information can get it. I really, truly would appreciate it. Also subscribe if you need to, or you feel like there are subjects here that I have, whether it's Know Your Truth Real Talk, which is a self-improvement and self-empowerment talk show channel that I have, and Legal Matters deal with mostly court procedures, but I also talk about some laws and what can be done in order to succeed in getting the information you require. If you have any questions, you can always leave it in the comment box or email me. It should be in the description box, and I'll be glad to help. All right? So we're going to talk about the American Disabilities Act, and it's called the ADA. It's a federal civil rights law that prohibits discrimination against all people with disabilities in their everyday activities. This would include the workplace, and having a service dog or pet is allowed in facilities outside of the workplace for people that have these disabilities. I've seen it in the court. Actually, one time someone brought a cobra. I'm not sure what type of snake it was, and as court officers and stuff, they were actually surprised that they were able to see that it was one of the reasons that people have service pets, not just dogs, pets. This enables the disabled to have some kind of comfort. Sometimes it's for the blind, where it helps guide them. And it's for various reasons, but a service dog or pet is allowed in facilities outside of the workplace. So that's considered part of the laws now in government. If you have any kind of card, medical card, saying that it's a service dog, I'm not sure, or service pet, I'm not sure how you can retain that yet, but I will come back with a part 2 and help you out with that if needed, or you can text me and I'll get the information for you. But it is allowed in the workplace, but not the workplace. Any facility you go to in the workplace, you would need special permission for that. I think it would actually disturb the atmosphere, but it possibly can be done. I'm not 100% on that one. But it is allowed in the facilities outside of the workplace. Employees are supposed to follow and address the laws like everyone for all their employees, all right? So this includes the disabled. The accommodations are to be set in the union guidelines, and it's called a union contract that is made by the employer and the union representatives when they come into agreement and they write up these contracts. They're supposed to be voted in by you, the union employees, union members, but it should actually state what kind of accommodations with whichever union you're involved in or whatever facility, government agency you work for. You can contact your union to see what the possible accommodations are for you if you are considered disabled, whether you're going to look for a job or you already have it and you're now disabled, because that happens to people where they find themselves disabled after the fact. So you're already in a job or not in the job. You cannot be discriminated against because of that. Also, I'd like to state that the accommodations can be set in we set in the union contracts with the employer and the union who actually puts it into agreement terms. It gets voted in by the members, and if it's violated at any time, that there's any reason why the disabled are not getting their accommodations met, then there is a way to, one can sue an employer if they feel their rights of these accommodations have been violated in any way, all right? So, yeah, the workplace must have the accommodations in order to fulfill that purpose and assist those employees with disabilities who are employed by them. For one, I have put together a summary of the type of disabilities that I have seen. So disabilities that affect the legally blind, employers should accommodate them with. These are just examples with, let's say, glare screens and less time on the computer screens, or like in my case where we work, we have a lot of papers, screens, and stuff like that that we have to look through from lawsuits and stuff like that. It's a lot of papers, sometimes thousands of pages manually or sometimes in the screen. So if you're legally blind, you would want to have two break periods per day, maybe one in the morning, one in the afternoon. You can't make these rules up. They should be implemented already in your union contract with the employer. So, and this is not including a lunch break, all right? That's for the disabled that are legally blind. And also I've seen disabilities that affect the body. Those people, employees should accommodate those employees with less period of standing on their feet or sitting, whichever one is more uncomfortable. And that would be, again, in the union guidelines, the contract of the union that they made with the employer. So you must check before proceeding if you're going to file a grievance first. Because what I notice is when you want to file a lawsuit, if this is the workplace and you're being discriminated against and you're not being accommodated, you have to go through the channels of the union before you can go outside to sue. So what you want to do is you want to do your step 1, 2, and 3 grievances if needed, and that's the last step. I believe after that there may be an appeal, but even if you don't appeal it there, you can go, and I would do the appeal, but you can go sue outside now at any courthouse within the area where it has taken place, okay? Those with mental disorders are to be put in positions that I have seen that are an advantage for them to complete their daily tasks, such as mail servicing, filing, things that won't, things that will be to their advantage, I should just say. So I'm going to move on to the ADA titles, and they go through 1 through 4, I believe it is. ADA is American Disabilities Act, and they come by titles. So Title 1 is for employment, which we were just discussing here about the employments. For instance, if an employer is prohibited through discrimination in hiring practices, promotions, training, anything like that, social activities, and other privileges, employment, including questions that are restricted to ask about an applicant who's disabled. These things cannot affect those things I just mentioned. It should not, and if you feel that it has, then you need to make sure that you know what the next channel of steps to take. Making reasonable, they have to make reasonable accommodations to you physically, for physical, the mental health, physical health, limitations of individuals with the disability mentally and physically, because everyone has a situation and everyone's situation is not the same. Some disabilities you can see and some disabilities you won't be able to see, and that's the problem that I've seen. A lot of discrimination when people don't see it, they feel like that it doesn't exist, and it does internally. So everything on the outside is not what you see. Actually, can you see cancer? No. Can you see other things? No. There's a lot of other things you can't, or in the early stages you can't. But there's things that that really needs to be noted, that no one should make the assumption, especially an agency when hiring, that a person should look disabled if they are, and they're not allowed to ask you those questions either if they see you are disabled. I have my niece, she has a show, Pretty Girls Get Sick, which actually states that, yeah, pretty girls do get sick, and they will not look at, and therefore they get discriminated all the time about that. I have some of my nature friends actually visiting me right now. So subscribe and share. I'll be right there. I'm going to feed. Okay, there you go. And so these are some of the complexities, complex stuff that we see out here, and which needs to be resolved. And so, as I was stating, that Title I is reasonable accommodations. Even when you're in an interview, they're not allowed to ask you in their hiring practices or what titles they're able to give you if you haven't taken the exams for a specific title. Just because you're disabled doesn't mean they give you the worst title or something manageable, unless it's going to work with what your sickness is. But the pay should be the same as anyone else, in other words, you know. So the reasonable accommodations is Title I, to know your limitations of individuals with disabilities. Title I complaints must be filed with the United States Equal Opportunity Commission, which is called the EEOC. So if you feel that you have been violated any form or fashion mentally, for the mentally disabled and for the physically disabled, at any point you can deal with the EEOC within 180 days of when the discrimination happened. Okay, you can get all that information. If the charge is filed with a designated state or local employment practice agency, such as your union, then you have like 300 days if it was filed there first, and not 180. But just to make sure, you would want to file and check this information out. But if you do file a lawsuit in federal court, is the only place you can file it after receiving a right to sue letter from the EEOC. So then when the EEOC gives you that letter, you have every right to go file a suit. If it's not resolved, it goes there. www.eeoc.gov is the equal opportunity. You can go on there now. Excuse me. I'm used to calling it the EEOC. So it's see, we use shortcuts. So that's the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, right? See, we call things like PERB, the Public Employees Relation Boards, and the Labor Boards, NLRB. We don't usually use all, we use the acronyms. So I just wanted to make sure you knew that. The actual name of it, and as I stated, www.eeoc.gov. You can actually go there and find some more information on disability and probably access information that you need as well for other agencies. ADA Title II, okay, so this is Title II, is brought down from the state and local government activities that are from the government and this local. It requires the state and the government to give people with disabilities an equal opportunity to benefit from programs, services, and activities such as education, things like that, employment, transportation, healthcare, etc., social services, the courts, everywhere. Voting and recreation. State and local government are required to follow specific architectural standards of their buildings as well in order for you to get access if you have a physical disability. That it's required by them to update their older structures, if possible, to accommodate and give easy access to the disabled, which is really important. And they're supposed to be able to communicate with the hearing. They must also, provide access to inaccessible older structures, which I said, or buildings, and also that be able to communicate, because there's some people with hearing, vision, or speech disabilities, and they have their other ways of being able to reach them. Like, for instance, the deaf have sign language, the blind has Braille. So these things are implemented within those agencies, local governments, in order to have communication on both ends of dialogue of what that person with the disability needs. All right. Procedures are taken. What is done there is, once they implement that, public places are required to modify their policies, practices, and their proceedings when necessary to avoid discrimination, because they're not allowed to do it. In the future, I'll be doing discrimination on race, sex, and all other kinds of stuff. But for now, I chose to do disability because there's a lot of people that ask me the questions about, what kind of laws are for them and what they need to do. So Title II, public transportation, also has public transportation as Title II, along with the local government and agencies. So in public transportation, also covered by Title II of the American Disabilities Act, is like buses, subways, trains, all public transit and stuff like that. Public transportation may not discriminate against people with disabilities in their services to the public. So in instance, if you needed help, they're not supposed to discriminate, such as paratransit, which is a service. If all of you don't know, it's called paratransit, and I've seen others, but I'm not too keen on what the names are. I researched and found this. For those who are unable to use the trains or even drive themselves, use the trains independently, or buses, because of physical or mental disorder, complaints and questions should be filed with the Office of Civil Rights if you see that anyone in public transportation is being, or yourself, discriminated against. You got to go to the, like I said, complaints can be filed with the Office of Civil Rights, Federal Transit Administration, United States Department of Transportation. Or you can go to their website at www.fta.dot.gov/ADA ADA, and you will find things there that you can do if you've been discriminated against, because as you said, we all have rights and stuff. Even criminals have rights. So as we know in the courts, working in the courts, that everyone has a right, even the criminals, murderers, it doesn't matter. So of course you're going to have rights, right? If they give them rights, you should have rights. All right. So now we're going to go on to ADA Title 3. And this one is called Public Accommodations. So Title 3 covers businesses and nonprofit service providers, privately operating transportation and commercial facilities. Public accommodations are also private entities who own, lease, or lease to others, or operate facilities such as restaurants, retail stores, hotels, movie theaters, private schools, etc. Public accommodations must comply with basic non-discrimination that prohibits unequal treatment, unequal treatment to the disabled. So therefore, if you hear any of these places, if you've gone to, and if you've been discriminated of, they're supposed to give you public accommodation. And unequal treatment, it will not be tolerated, and it's not necessary to file a complaint for that. Yeah, you don't have to file a complaint with the justice system with them, or receive a right to sue letter with them before going to court. You have a choice. You can either go to the Justice of Department of Justice, DOJ, and you don't even have to wait for a right to sue letter from the DOJ, the Department of Justice. You can go directly to the courts in a case like that. And for more information on that, and a lot of information on public accommodations, you can go for the info on website www.ada.gov, which is the Americans Disability Act, and they're going to give you all the accommodations requirements, and there's guides and laws that you can read up on. And if those that can't read, this is why I do my show here. I get the information out to people that can't do their own research or maybe doesn't know, and then I give a little bit of tips of things that I know from where my work experience, my education, my personal experience comes from. Not with this, but in life. Thank God. But either way, so we're going to move on to the last one, I believe this is, and this is the ADA Title 4. So Title 4 deals with communication services. So when we talk about communication services, those are like the things for people that have vision and that are deaf. Title 4 addresses telephone and television access for people with hearing and speech disabilities. As I was just saying, it requires telephone companies to establish telecommunications relay services 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. All right, using this and using TRS, which is a type of equipment, and TTYS, I believe it is, which is another one. Those are for the deaf, for those who require them. Okay, so not only physically, but not only mentally, but physically, everyone is taken care of here in some form or manner with this discrimination and being treated unequally. So this way that you're not less than anyone else, and the world needs to know it. You're special, you're better, and you always will be. So keep your head up, because I know I've seen how they're discriminated against. Here comes my friends again. I'm going to have to feed you when I get it finished. And so nature just calls me every day when I'm off. All right, and so and I'm always off on Saturdays. So all right, and I also 7 days a week. Okay, they're supposed to use it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Sorry for that, guys. And they're required by this Title 4 to do so, and also to use closed captioning as well for those that can't hear, of the funded public service announcements. For further contact the Federal Communication Commission, which is the FCC. So for instance, they're saying that the public announcement system, that there's emergencies, things go on, they're supposed to have captioned, what is it called? Closed caption, right? Closed caption for those who cannot hear the sirens or whatever goes on, in order for them to know when there's an emergency involved. Also, I wanted to also include that their website is www. Let's see this one. I'm not sure about that. Oh, there we go. fcc.gov.cgb.dro. That one's a little difficult. Yeah, I did some research, so I wanted you all to get to that point. And then, so those are the titles 1 through 4 of the ADA laws, the American Disabilities Act. I'm so much on the other part, but and I wanted to also add before I end this show, and please subscribe and share, that the Voting Act, Accessibility for the Elderly and Handicap Act, is also really important. This act requires polling places across the United States to be physically accessible to people with disabilities and the elderly, all right? For federal elections where no locations are available to serve as a polling place, a subdivision must be made. So if you have been not given the right to vote because you're older or you have a disability, that is also discrimination. They must provide you with a subdivision area and alternated on the day of election, or you can do the mail ballots, whichever one works for you. Sometimes they'll have buses, transportation. For those that can't, you have to find that out with your voting, the Board of Elections, to see about that one, or within your church or whomever groups that you're involved with, that senior citizen groups that can help you get there if you can't make it. But it is the law that everyone has the right to vote, except for certain people, which we're not going to state today, that cannot vote. And the only people I know that to be is criminals that were actually convicted. So this law here requires access, like I said, to the disabled, and this law also requires states to make available registration and voting aids for the elderly and disabled. So for more information, you can contact United States Department of Justice if you wanted to file a complaint. Civil Rights Division would be the place you go. And if you need any information on how to get to your polling place, you would call the Board of Elections in your state or in your county, I believe. So with that, ending at that, I just want to say I had a good time teaching this. Well, not teaching, informing you with this. I'll be coming up with more legal matters next month. Well, it is next month. I'm kind of delayed. This was last month. So I will be doing July, at the end of July, to catch up, because I have a lot of events, which I have one now, so I'm rushing to get out of here. You can catch me on those events if I'm able to tape with my show, Know Your Truth, Real Talk. I upload a lot. You can check my grilling skills, my travels on my channel, Judge Desire for Knowledge, and my show, Know Your Truth, Real Talk, every Saturday at 3 o'clock, right? So based on that, On Legal Matters has adjourned with Judge Desire for Knowledge. I thank you all. Please subscribe, share, and like, and I shall check you all out real soon next Saturday. All right? Have a great holiday weekend. Stay safe out there. Do not drink and drive. It's never worth it. Ciao.